time you subtract negative and make room for more positive. Good afternoon, dear students. I welcome you all to this online class. In previous class, we have completed the first chapter, The Living World. Today, we will start the second chapter, The Animal Kingdom or Kingdom Animalia. In this lesson, we are going to discuss about the basis of classification of animals and also how animals are classified into two broad categories, chordates and non-chordates, and what are the general characters of the various phylums in the chordates and non-chordates. Animal kingdom comprises millions of animal species, and studying them without a basic classification may lead to confusion. In addition to this, there are several new species of animal being constantly discovered. So, classification is very essential for identification, naming and assigning a systematic position to the newly developed species. Animal kingdom is classified mainly based on the closely resembling characters. Animal kingdom is characterized of eukaryotic, multicellular, heterotrophic organism. What is eukaryotic? Animals, they have well-defined nucleus and they are multicellular, many cells, heterotrophic organisms. They depend upon food for other organisms. They include about 35 phyla, of which 11 are considered as major phylums. Almost 99% of animals are invertebrates. That means animals without the backbone. The remaining represents the vertebrates, that is the animals with backbone. So on the basis of the presence or absence of a notochord, that means the vertebral column, animals are also categorized into two major groups and they are called as non-chordates and chordates. Non-chordates means without vertebral column and chordates means with vertebral column. Multicellular organisms are structurally and functionally different, but they possess certain common fundamental features such as arrangement of cell layers, the level of organization, nature of coelom, the presence or absence of segmentation, notochord, and the organization of the organ system. Scientists have classified animals into various groups. Let us understand each of these basic fundamental features in detail. The level of organization, symmetry, cell organization, nature of coelom, segmentation, and presence or absence of notochord. First is the level of organization. The level of organization is the first basic fundamental feature that deals with the pattern of cell organization in an animal. There are four patterns of cell organization. They are the cellular, tissue, organ and organ system level of organization. First is cellular organization. Cellular level of organization is seen in sponges. The cells in the sponges are arranged as loose aggregates and they do not form tissues. The cells are arranged in a loose, so they do not tightly packed. They exhibit a cellular level of organization. There, the division of labor, that means the work of each cells among the cells and the different types of cells are functionally isolated. In sponges, the outer layer is formed of pinacocytes, that means plate-like cells that maintain the size and structure of the sponge. So pinacocytes, these are the cells that maintain the size and structure of the sponge. And the inner layer is formed of conococytes. These are flagellated collar cells that create and maintain water flow through the sponge, thus facilitating the
respiratory and digestive functions. So, how the question will be asked, what are the two types of cells present in sponges? Very important 2 mark question. So, what are the two types of cells? One is pinacocytes, which is the outer layer which helps to maintain the size and structure of the sponge. And the inner layer is called as conocytes. They are flagellated collar cells that facilitates digestive and respiratory functions. Next is the tissue level of organization. The tissue level of organization is exhibited in diploplastic animals like cnidarians. The formation of tissues is the first step towards the evolution of body plan in animals. Next is organ level of organization. Organ level of organization exhibit in platyhelminthes and hyophilas, where different kinds of tissues aggregate to perform a specific function. And the next is the organ system level of organization. Each system is associated with a specific function and show organ system level of organization such as digestive, lymphatic and nervous system. Organ system level of organization exhibit in arthropods, annelids, mollusks and echinoderms and chordates. Chordates also exhibit organ system level of organization which can be very primitive and simple or complex depending upon the individual animal. Incomplete digestive system is seen in planaria where the mouth and anus serve as a single opening, which mouth and anus serve as single opening, whereas in a man the complete digestive system takes place where mouth and anus with two different openings. Circulatory system also divided into two, open and the closed circulatory system. Next we move on to the symmetry. Patterns of symmetry. Symmetry is the body arrangement in which parts that lie on opposite side of an axis are identical. That means if you cut the animal, both sides are equal. So symmetry is a body arrangement in which the parts that lie on opposite side of an axis are identical. So this animal's body plan results from the animal's pattern of development. The simplest body plan is seen in sponges. They do not display symmetry and they are called as asymmetrical. If an organism should do not show any symmetry, they are called as asymmetrical. A means absence. Such animals lack a definite body plan because these sponges are cellular grade organization. It is made up of cells, not tissues. So they lack the definite body plan, and the animals which are irregular in shape can't able to divide them into two equal halves. So if an animal is lacking a definite body plan and irregular shape, they does not divide them into two equal halves. An asymmetrical body plan is also seen in gastropods such as snails. Snails are gastropods. And second one is the radially symmetrical. Symmetrical animals have a paired body parts that are arranged on either side of a plane passing through the central axis. When any plane passing through the central axis of the body divides an organism into two identical parts, it is called as a radial symmetry. Such radial symmetrical animals have top and bottom side. These animals have top side and bottom side, but no dorsal. Dorsal means back, and the ventral front side. No right, no left. They have only top and bottom. This you can see in this picture, some coelentrates. They have top and bottom. They do not have the left and right sides. They have a body plan in which the body parts are organized in a circle round an axis. So, best example for this is coelacanthrates such as sea anemones and corals, they are radially symmetrical. Radially symmetrical means the animals have top and bottom side, but they do not have dorsal, ventral or right and left sides. However, triploplastic animals like echinoderms, that means starfish, they have 5 planes of symmetry and show pentamerous radial symmetry. Penta 5. So these starfish have 5 limbs. So this you can see in this picture how the symmetry takes place in starfish. So in starfish, it exhibits a pentamerous radial symmetry. Animals which possess 2 pairs of symmetrical sides are said to be biradially symmetrical. The animals which possess 2 pairs of symmetrical sides are said to be biradially symmetrical. So example for this is comb jellies. And animals which have 2 similar halves on either side of the central plane, which shows bilaterally symmetrical. So even animals are bilaterally symmetrical. So animals which have 2 similar halves on either side, if we cut, you can see in this picture the butterfly. So if we cut in the central plane, the 2 halves have same identical parts. So this is called as bilateral symmetry. It is an advantageous type of symmetry in triploplastic animals which helps in seeking food, locating their mates and escaping from the predators more efficiently. Animals that have the dorsal and the ventral sides, anterior and posterior ends, right and left sides are bilaterally symmetrical and exhibit cephalization. What is cephalization? Cephalization means a forming of a head in which the sensory and the brain structures are concentrated at the anterior part of the animal. You can see in the head having the brain and the sensory structures. So this is about a bilateral symmetry. So there are 3 parts of symmetry: asymmetrical, radially symmetrical and bilaterally symmetrical. Next is the cell organization. So based on the cellular organization, animals can be classified into 2 types: diploplastic and triploplastic. Diploplastic means the animals in which the cells are arranged in 2 embryonic layers, the external ectoderm and the internal endoderm. It is found in corals and jellyfishes. Whereas in planarians or platyhelminthes, the animals have 3 germinal layers: ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. So they are called as triploplastic animals. The ectoderm and endoderm has the middle layer, the mesoderm. Next we move on to the nature of coelom. Nature of coelom. Coelom is nothing but a body cavity present between the body wall and the alimentary canal, which is lined by the mesoderm. And based on this nature of coelom, the animals can be classified into 3: coelomate, acoelomate and pseudocoelomate. Coelomate means true coelom, acoelomate means absence of coelom and pseudocoelomate means false coelom. First we see what is coelomate. Coelomate is a fluid-filled cavity that develops within the mesoderm and it is found in annelids, mollusks, arthropods, echinoderms, hemichordates and chordates. Next we move on to acoelomate. Animals which do not possess a body cavity are called as acoelomate. It is found in platyhelminthes. Next is pseudocoelomate. The body cavity is not fully lined by the mesodermal epithelium, but the mesoderm is scattered as pouches between the ectoderm and endoderm. Coelom is a fluid-filled cavity that develops within the mesoderm and is lined by mesodermal epithelium called peritoneum. Based on the mode of formation of coelom, the eucoelomates are classified into 2 types: schizocoelomate and enterocoelomate animals. What are schizocoelomate? The animals, the body cavity is formed by splitting of mesoderms. The mesoderms get split So they are called as isocoelomate. Examples: annelids, arthropods, and mollusks. And in enterocoelomate animals, the body cavity is formed from mesodermal pouches of organteron. Pouches means bags of organteron means space. So it formed like a space, mesoderms as spaces. So example, echinoderms, hemichordates and chordates. Next is segmentation. In some animals, the body is externally and internally divided into series of repeated units called segments. The simplest form of segmentation is found in annelids, in which each unit of the body is very similar to the next one. It is called as metamerism. Next, we move on to notochord. Animals which possess notochord at any stage of their development are called chordates. Notochord is a mesodermally derived rod-like structure formed on the dorsal side during embryonic development in some animals. Based on the presence or absence of a notochord, animals are classified as chordates. That means it consists of cephalochordates, urochordates, fishes to mammals, and non-chordates from porifera to hemichordata. Animal kingdom is divided into two subkingdoms, the parazoa and the eumetazoa, based on their organization. Parazoa. Parazoa includes multicellular sponges, and the cells are loosely arranged and they do not form tissues or organs. Eumetazoa are multicellular with well-defined tissues. These eumetazoa include two taxonomic levels called grades, and they include radiata and bilateria. Grade radiata. This radiata are radially symmetrical and diploplastic. Two layers of cells, the ectoderm and endoderm, are separated by jelly-like mesoglia. Mesoglia is present in radiata. Example, cnidarians. Bilateria. The bilateria are bilaterally symmetrical and triploplastic. This grade bilateria includes two levels called divisions. It includes protostomia and deuterostomia. What is protostomia? Proto means first, stomium means mouth. This protostomia, the embryonic blastopore, develops into mouth. They include the subdivisions acoelomata, pseudocoelomata, and cystocoelomata. The blastopore develops into mouth. In deuterostomia, the anus is near the blastopore and the mouth is present away from the blastopore. It includes only one subdivision, enterocoelomata. Based on the presence or absence of notochord, the animals can be classified into non-chordates and chordates. Non-chordates are animals that do not possess a notochord, and these non-chordates are divided into different phylums starting from porifera to echinodermata. In today's class, we will discuss from porifera to Ascalmanthus. First is phylum Porifera. These are pore-bearing animals commonly called as sponges. And they are aquatic, primitive, multicellular, marine, asymmetrical, and sessile animal with cellular level of organization. And the body is supported by a skeleton made up of calcareous or siliceous spicules or spongin. They possess a water transport system or a canal system where waters enter through the minute pore called ostia lining the body wall, through which the water enters into the central cavity called spongocoel and goes out through the osculum. This water transport system is helpful in food gathering, circulation, and respiration. There is another cell called conocytes or collar cells or specialized flagellated cells lining the spongocele and the canals. Here, the reproduction is by asexual reproduction, by fragmentation or gemule formation, and sexual reproduction by formation of gametes. The development is indirect with different types of larval stages such as parenchyma and amphiblastula. Example, Sycon, Spongilla, and Euplectella. These are the examples of phylum Porifera. The next phylum is phylum Coelenterata or Cnidaria. These animals are aquatic, they are marine, sessile or free-living, radially symmetrical, diploplastic animals with tissue level of organization. The example for these are Hydra and Admasia. It is made up of calcium carbonate. This has a mouth, tentacles around it. So this mouth is called as hypostomes. This coelenterata is also called as cnidarians. That means stringing cells. A single opening called mouth is present. It is also called as hypostome. The digestion is both extracellular and intracellular. And cnidarians exhibit two basic body forms, polyp and medusa. The polyp forms are sessile and cylindrical. Sessile means they do not move, whereas the medusa are umbrella shaped and free-living. Example for this is Obelia. And cnidarians which exhibit in both forms also exhibit alternation of generation in their life cycle called metagenesis. The polyp represents the asexual reproduction and the medusa represents the sexual generation. Polyps produces medusa asexually and medusa forms polyps sexually. Example, Physalia, Panatula, etc. The larva in this cnidaria is the planula larva. And the next phylum we are going to see is the Ctenophora. They are called as comb-bearing animals. Ctenophores are comb-bearing animals. They are marine, radially symmetrical, diploplastic with tissue level of organization. They have 8 external rows of ciliated comb plates called as comb jellies which helps in locomotion. That means movement. And digestion is both extracellular and intracellular. They exhibit a special character called bioluminescence. The ability of a living organism to emit light is well marked in ctenophores. The fertilization is external and the development is indirect and includes the larval stage called ctipid larva. The fertilization is external. Example, Plurobranchia and Ctenoplana. These are the examples of Ctenophora. Next, we move on to the phylum Platyhelminthes. They have dorsally flattened body, hence they are called as flatworms. So these Platyhelminthes are called as flatworms. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploplastic, acoelomate animal with organ system level of organization. They are mostly endoparasites of animals including human beings. They live as an endoparasite that lives inside the host. They have hooks and suckers are present in the parasitic forms and serve as an organ of attachment. The specialized excretory cells called the flame cells help in osmoregulation and excretion. So excretion and osmoregulation is done by flame cells. The sexes are not separate, fertilization is internal and the development is through larval stages including many larvas, Miracidium, Sporocyte larva, Radia larva. Some members of the planaria show high degree of regeneration capacity. Example, Taenia solium and blood fluke. Next one is the phylum Ascalmanthus. Phylum Ascalmanthus, the body of this phylum is circular in cross section, hence they are called as roundworm. Platyhelminthes is flatworm and Ascalmanthus is roundworm. They are free living or parasitic on aquatic and terrestrial plants and animals. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploplastic, and pseudocoelomate animals with organ system level of organization. The body is unsegmented and covered by a transparent cuticle. The alimentary canal is complete with well-developed mouth, muscular pharynx, and anus. They have an excretory pore called rennet gland. The sexes are separate and exhibit sexual dimorphism. Often, females are longer than the males. Fertilization is internal. Majority are oviparous, example Ascaris, and few are viviparous, ovoviviparous, example Eucharia. Annelida. Annelids were the first segmented animals. They are aquatic or terrestrial, free living, but some are parasitic. And they are triploplastic, bilaterally symmetrical, coelomate, and exhibit organ system level of organization. The coelom with coelomic fluid creates a hydrostatic skeleton which helps in locomotion. The elongated body is metamerically segmented and the body is divided into septa. The longitudinal and the circular muscles in the body wall help in locomotion. Aquatic annelids like Nereis have lateral appendages called parapodia which helps in swimming. The circulation is closed type and has nephridia which helps in osmoregulation and excretion. Each nephridia is a complex organ and the nervous system consists of a paired ganglion connected by a lateral nerves to the double ventral nerve cord. They reproduce sexually. Some are monoecious and some are dioecious. Monoecious means single sex and dioecious means having two sexes. Example, earthworm and Herodinaria are monoecious whereas Nereis is a dioecious. They reproduce asexually, development is direct and the larva is trochophore larva. Next is the phylum Arthropods. This is the largest phylum of the kingdom Animalia. These are bilaterally symmetrical, segmented, triploplastic and coelomate animal with organ system grade of a body organization. And the body is divided into head, thorax and abdomen with a body cavity called hemocoel. And they have a jointed paired appendages which is used for locomotion. The exoskeleton is chitinous. Respiratory organs are gills, book lungs or trachea. And the circulation is open type. Malpighian tubules, coxal gland and green gland act as the excretory organ. The sense organs are antennae, eyes and statocyst. Statocyst is the organ of balance or equilibrium. They are mostly dioecious and oviparous. They lay eggs. Fertilization is usually internal. Development may be direct or indirect. Examples for this is Apis, Bombyx, Locust and Heteromorphs. And there are some other arthropods which act as vectors. They are Anopheles, Culus and Aedes mosquito. Some arthropods are economically important insects such as Apis, honeybees, Bombyx silkworm and lac insects. There is a living fossil in arthropod called limulus. You can see limulus in this picture. And the next phylum is phylum mollusca. Mollusca means soft body. This is the second largest animal phylum. Mollusks are terrestrial and aquatic. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploplastic and coelomate, which exhibit organ system level of organization. Body is covered with a calcareous shell with a distinct head, muscular foot and visceral hump. A soft layer of skin forms a mantle cover over the visceral hump. The space between the mantle and the visceral mass is called the mantle cavity, in which a number of feather-like gills or ctenidia are present, which is respiratory and excretory in function. Sensory tentacles are present as a sense organ, and radula is used for digestion, which is present in mouth. The characteristics of phylum Mollusca also includes open circulatory system, excretory organs or nephridia. Blood contains hemocyanin, a copper-containing blue-color respiratory pigment. Larva is the veliger larva. They are oviparous and dioecious. Oviparous means they lay eggs. Development is indirect. Example, Pila, Pinctada, Sepia, Loligo and octopus. The next phylum is the phylum Echinodermata. Echinos means spiny and dermos means skin. All echinoderms are marine animals. These animals have mesodermal endoskeleton of calcareous ossicles, hence the name Echinodermata. They are triploplastic, coelomate animals with organ system level of organization. And the adult are radially symmetrical, but the larva is bilaterally symmetrical. The digestive system is complete with a mouth on the ventral side and anus on the dorsal side. The most distinctive features of echinoderms is the presence of a vascular system or umbilical system with tube feet or podia, which helps in locomotion, capturing the prey and transport of food and respiration. Echinoderms, they are excretory organs are absent. The nervous and the sensory organs are poorly developed. The circulatory system is open. They have a regeneration capacity. Some echinoderms exhibit autotomy with a remarkable power of regeneration. Regeneration means the lost part are regenerated. They are dioecious. Male and female sexes are separate. Reproduction is sexual and fertilization is external. Development is indirect with free-swimming bilaterally symmetrical larvae. Example, Astrius, Antedon, Echinus, etc. So far we have seen the non-chordates, different phylums of non-chordates from Porifera to Echinodermata. And the next phylum is the phylum Hemichordata. This Hemichordata comes under Chordata. Hemichordata were really treated as a subphylum of Chordata. They are now regarded to be an independent phylum of invertebrates, which is close to Echinodermata. The animals of this group possesses the characters of invertebrates as well as the characters of chordates. Hemichordata are worm-like soft marine animals, mostly tuberculous, and is commonly called as acorn worms or tongue worms. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploplastic, and coelomate animal. The body of this hemichordates is divided into three regions: the anterior proboscis, a short collar, and a long trunk. This hemichordates have gills. which is used for respiration, which is opening into the pharynx. Excretion is by single proboscis glands or glomerulus, which is situated in proboscis. Nervous system is primitive, sexes are separate and exhibit sexual mode of reproduction. Example, balanoglossus and sarcoglossus. Next, we move on to phylum Chordata. Chordata means string. Chordata is the largest phylum with most familiar group of animals such as fishes, amphibians, reptiles, birds and mammals, and less known forms such as lancelets, that is Amphioxus, and tunicates, which includes Ascidian. This lancelets and tunicates belongs to the subphylum of Chordata. So all chordates possess three fundamental distinct features at some stage of their life cycle. They are, first one is the presence of notochord. Second one is presence of nerve cord. Third one is pharyngeal gill slits. First we see presence of elongated rod-like notochord. This notochord is found below the nerve cord and above the alimentary canal. Alimentary canal is nothing but the digestive system. It serves as a primitive internal skeleton. It may persist throughout its life in lancets and lampreys. So this notochord is present throughout the life in lancets. In adult vertebrates, this notochord may be partially or completely replaced by backbone or vertebral column. So our vertebral column is made up of this notochord. Second one is the dorsal halo tubular nerve cord. So it is a fluid-filled cavity, lies above the notochord and below the dorsal body wall. It serves to integrate and coordinate the body functions. This nerve cord coordinates the body function. So which one is coordinating our body function? Our brain. So in higher chordates, the anterior end of the nerve cord get enlarged to form the brain, and the posterior part becomes the spinal cord, which is protected inside the vertebral column. Here the notochord acts as the backbone, and here the nerve cord acts as the brain and spinal cord. Third one is the pharyngeal gill slits. This presence of pharyngeal gill slits in all chordates at some stages of their life cycle. It is a series of gill slits or the clefts that perforates the wall of the pharynx. So these gills are present in the pharynx. Pharynx is a part of our alimentary canal and appears during the development of every chordate. In aquatic forms, that means the for animals which lives in water, the pharyngeal gill slits are vascular and lamellar. Lamellar means idhal pola line adikirukkum and form the gills for respiration. In terrestrial chordates, terrestrial means the animals which lives on land. Traces of functional gill cleft appear during embryonic developmental stages and disappear later. Besides the above said features, chordates are bilaterally symmetrical, triploplastic, coelomate with organ system level of organization. They possess the post-anal tail. You can see in this picture the post-anal tail. Closed circulatory system. Closed circulatory system means blood vessels are present. In open circulatory system, the blood vessels are absent. In closed circulatory system, the blood vessels are present with a ventral myogenic heart except in Amphioxus. This heart is absent in Amphioxus, whereas it is present in all other chordates. So this is a very important 5-mark question. What are or explain the characteristic features of chordates or fundamental distinctive features of chordates. So you have to draw the diagram also. So practice drawing the diagram. Next, we move on to the comparison of chordates and non-chordates. So how these chordates and non-chordates are different. Chordates means presence of notochord. Non-chordates means the notochord is absent. In chordates, there is a dorsal halo and single nerve cord is present. But in non-chordates, it's a double ventral solid nerve cord is present. This is present in phylum Annelida, arthropods and mollusks. So it is a double ventral solid nerve cord. In chordates, the pharynx perforated by the gill slits, whereas in non-chordates, these gill slits are absent. In chordates, the heart is ventrally present. Ventral, what is ventral and dorsal? Ventral means inside the part and dorsal means way mele. So if you keep your palm on the table, so this black part is the dorsal side and the part which is inner, that is the white part, is the ventral. So our vertebral column is present in our dorsal side, whereas our abdomen is present in our ventral side. So this is dorsal and ventral. The heart is ventrally placed in chordates, whereas heart is dorsal or laterally placed or may be absent in non-chordates. Post-anal tail is present in chordates, whereas post-anal tail is absent in non-chordates. This alimentary canal is placed ventral to the nerve cord in chordates, whereas alimentary canal is placed dorsal to the nerve cord in non-chordates. So it is an important 3-mark question. So compare the differences between chordate and non-chordates. Next we move on to the subphylum Urochordata, and it is also called as tunicata. Uro means tail, chordate means nerve, notochord. They are exclusively marine and are commonly called sea squids. They live in the sea. Mostly they are sessile. Sessile means they do not move. Some are pelagic and some are free swimming. Exist as solitary and colonial forms. They live separately or may live in colonies. The body is unsegmented and it is covered by a test or tunic. Tunic is nothing but a membrane. The adult forms are sac-like. You can see in this picture. The coelom. Coelom is nothing but body cavity. Coelom is absent but has an atrial cavity. That means a mouth, a cavity surrounding the pharynx. The notochord is present only in the tail regions of the larval stage. Hence, they are named as Urochordata. Uro means tail. So, the notochord is present only in the tail region of the larval stage. Alimentary canal is complete and circulatory system is open. The heart is ventral and tubular. Respiration is through gill slits and clefts. The dorsal tubular nerve cord is present only in the larval stage and a single dorsal ganglion is present in the adult. So, dorsal tubular nerve cord, that means it converts into brain and spinal cord, no? So, this tubular nerve cord is present in the larval stage, but in adults, a dorsal ganglion. Ganglion is nothing but ஒரு நரம்பு முடிச்சு. Ganglion is present. They are mostly hermaphrodite. That means both the sexes are present in the same animal. Development is indirect and includes a free-swimming tadpole larva with chordate characters. They show retrogressive metamorphosis. What is meant by retrogressive metamorphosis? It is an aquatic free-swimming larva with a notochord that changes into a sessile non-chordate adult. So this is called retrogressive metamorphosis development. Example for this is Acidia, Salfa and Dololeum. Next is the subphylum Cephalochordata. Cephalo means head, chordata means cord. So here the notochord is present only in the head region. Cephalochordates are marine forms found in the shallow waters, leading a burrowing mode of life. They live under the sea. So, they are small fish-like coelomate forms with chordate characters such as notochord, dorsal tubular nerve cord, and pharyngeal gill slits throughout their life. So, these are the 3 important characteristics of chordates: notochord, dorsal tubular nerve cord, and pharyngeal gill slits. This is present in this cephalochordates. Closed type of circulatory system is seen without heart. Heart is not present, but blood vessels are present. Excretion is by protonephridia. What is protonephridia? Proto means first. So it is a network of dead end tubules lacking the internal openings. அப்படியே ஒரு long tube போல இருக்கும். Protonephridia. The sexes are separate. Fertilization is external. Development is indirect and includes a free swimming larva. Example for this is Amphioxus. It is also called as lancelet. Characters. The vertebrates are also called higher chordates and they possess notochord during embryonic stage only. The notochord is replaced by a cartilaginous vertebral column in the adult. Hence, all vertebrates are chordates, but all chordates are not vertebrates. Vertebrate possess paired appendages such as fins or limbs. The skin is covered by protective skeleton comprising of scales, feathers, hairs, etc. Respiration is aerobic through gills, skin, buccopharyngeal cavity and lungs. Vertebrate have a ventral muscular heart with 2, 3 or 4 chambers and kidney for excretion and osmoregulation. Subphylum Vertebrata is divided into 2 divisions, Agnatha and Gnathostomata. Agnatha includes jawless fish-like vertebrates, whereas Gnathostomata includes jawed vertebrates. Agnatha includes one important class called Cyclostomata, whereas Gnathostomata includes fishes and tetrapods. First is class Cyclostomata. Cyclos means circle, stomata means mouth. All members of cyclostomata are primitive, poikilothermic, that means cold-blooded, jawless aquatic vertebrate and are ectoparasite on some fishes. Body is slender and eel-like, bearing 6 to 15 pairs of gill slits for respiration. The mouth is circular without jaws and suctorial. Cranium and vertebral column are cartilaginous. The heart is two-chambered and circulation is of closed type. Cyclostomes are marine but migrate to fresh waters for spawning. After spawning, within a few days, they die. The larva, that is the Amosite larva, after metamorphosis, return to the ocean. Here, the Petromyzon and Myxin are the examples of cyclostomata. And the next is the Gnathostomata, which includes jawed vertebrates with paired appendages. There are 2 classes. One is fishes, another one is tetrapods. So fishes includes cartilaginous fishes and bony fishes. So let us see cartilaginous and bony fishes first. First is the cartilaginous fishes. It's called chondrichthysis. Chondros means cartilage. Ichthys means fishes. So the notochord is persistent throughout the life in these cartilaginous fishes. Skin is very tough by dermal placoid scales. The skin has placoid scales and the caudal fin is heterocercal. They are marine with cartilaginous endoskeleton and the mouth is located ventrally and the teeth are modified placoid scales. Their jaws are powerful and are predaceous animal. Respiration by lamelliform gills without operculum. Operculum is nothing but the gill cover. The excretory organs are mesonephric kidneys. Here, the cartilaginous fishes are ureotelic. 2-chambered heart is present. One is an auricle, another one is the ventricle. The cartilaginous fishes store urea in their blood to maintain osmotic concentration of the body fluids. They are poikilothermic. Electric organs are present in torpedo and poisonous stings are present in trigon. They are poikilothermic and viviparous. That means they can give birth to the young ones. Sexes are separate. In males, pelvic fins bears claspers to aid in internal fertilization. So the fertilization is internal. Examples: scoliodon, trigon, pristis, etc. Pristis is a sawfish, trigon is the stingray, and scoliodon is also called as shark. The next is the osteoctasis. Osteo means bones. Ichthys means fish. It includes both marine and freshwater fishes with bony endos and spindle-shaped body. The skin is covered by ganoid, cycloid or ctenoid scales. Respiration is by four pairs of filamentous gills and is covered by an operculum. Our bladder is present with or without a connection to the gut. Heart is two-chambered and this air bladder helps in gaseous exchange and for maintaining buoyancy in most of the ray fin fishes. These heart are ventrally placed. Excretory organs are mesonephric. And there are two types of fishes. One is marine water fish, another one is the freshwater fish. Hippocampus and Exocetus are marine water fishes, whereas Labiocatla are the freshwater fishes. There are some other fishes which is used as ornamental fishes such as beta and pterophyllum. And next we move on to the differences between the class chondrichthysis and osteocthysis. It's a very important question. What are the major difference between the cartilaginous and the bony fishes? So these cartilaginous fishes are marine, whereas bony fishes are marine and freshwater. Here the respiration is by lamelliform gills without operculum. Operculum is nothing but the gill cover. Here there is an operculum in bony fishes. And they are ureotelic and store urea. And in bony fishes they excrete ammonia. So they are called as aminotelic. And what is the difference between the ureotelic and aminotelic? Ureotelic means they excrete urea, whereas aminotelic means they excrete ammonia. And thus bony fishes are viviparous. Viviparous means they give birth to the young ones, whereas the bony fishes are oviparous. They lay the eggs. And in bony fishes, the male has the claspers to aid for the internal fertilization, whereas in bony fishes, the fertilization is external. Next, we move on to the tetrapods. Tetrapods are nothing but the animals having limbs. First, we see the class amphibians. Amphibians are the first vertebrates and tetrapods to live both in land and water. The body is divided into head and trunk and they have two pairs of limbs. The skin is moist, smooth, rough, pigmented and glandular. And they have eyelids and the tympanum represents the ear. The amphibians have eyelids. They have tympanum as ears. In amphibians, the alimentary canal and the urinary and reproductive tract open into a common chamber called cloaca, which opens to the exterior of the body. The adult amphibians respire with help of lungs and through skin, whereas the larvae respires through the gills. Here, the heart is three-chambered with two auricle and one ventricle. Sexes are separate and fertilization is external. They are oviparous and development is indirect. They show hibernation and estivation. They are poikilothermic animals. Examples are buffo, rana, hyla and salamandra. Next, we move on to the next class, reptiles. They are mostly terrestrial animals and the body is covered by dry cornified skin with epidermal scales or scutes. They have an external ear opening and the tympanum represents the ear except the snake. Reptiles have two pairs of limbs. Snakes don't have the limbs, whereas the other reptiles have two pairs of limbs. All these are cold-blooded animals. The heart is three-chambered, but in crocodile it is four-chambered heart with two auricles and two ventricles. Some reptiles like snakes and lizards shed their skin. Most reptiles lay cladoic egg with extraembryonic membranes like amnion, allantois, chorion, and yolk sac. These reptiles they excrete by metanephric kidneys and are ureotelic. They are monoecious. They are oviparous. They lay eggs and the fertilization is internal. Examples are Chelyon, Testido, Chameleon, crocodile, and Naja Naja. So these are the examples of reptiles. Next, we move on to the next class, aves. Aves means birds. They are commonly known as the birds which have the ability to fly. They have feathers to fly. They have claws. They are modified into wings and hind limbs or adapted for walking, running, and swimming. There are some other birds which don't have the ability to fly. These birds are flightless birds. Example ostrich, kiwi, and penguin. The endoskeleton of the birds is fully ossified, that is bones, and long bones are hollow with air cavities inside. Such type of bones are called as pneumatic bones. This air cavities helps in flight of these birds. The skin is dry and devoid of glands except the oil gland or preen gland at the base of the tail. The pectoral muscles of flight, called pectoralis major and minor, are well developed. They show parental care and the urinary bladder is absent. Aves, they use beaks to eat the food. When it receives the digestive tract which has crop and gizzard or the sum of the small chambers of this digestive system. Respiration is by lungs and the heart is four-chambered in heart. The respiration is by compact, elastic, spongy lungs that are continuous with air sacs to supplement respiration. Sexes are separate with well-marked sexual dimorphism. In males, the testes are paired, but in females, only left ovary is present. All birds are oviparous, that means they lay eggs. The eggs are megalocithal and cladoic. The fertilization is internal. Some of the examples of birds are the maltreus, cornivus, columbia, pigeon, pavo, etc. So these are some of the examples of birds. Next we move on to the class Mammalia, mammals. So they are found in variety of habitats such as polar ice caps, deserts, mountains, forest, grassland, dark caves, etc. The unique features of these mammals are the presence of a mammary gland and the body is covered by hair. These are the unique features of mammals. They have two pairs of limbs which is adapted for walking, running and climbing. Their skin is glandular in nature, consisting of sweat gland, scent glands, etc. Exoskeleton includes horny epidermal horns, spines, scales, etc. And the teeth is thecodont, heterodont, and diphyodont. They respire by lungs, and the heart is four-chambered and possess a left systemic arch. Mature RBCs are circular, biconcave and non-nucleated. Mammals have a large brain when compared to other animals. They show greatest intelligence. The kidneys are metanephric and ureotelic. All are homeothermic. Sexes are separate and fertilization is internal. They are all homeothermic means they are warm-blooded animals. Sexes are separate and fertilization is internal. Some of the examples are Panthera leo, Canis, Macaca, Camelus, boars, and dolphins. These are viviparous, where the ornithorynchus is oviparous mammal. So we have completed the different classes of vertebrate. Well, we have completed the second chapter, Kingdom Animalia, and now we are going to discuss the evaluation 1 mark questions. The first question is the symmetry exhibited in Cnidarians is nothing but salient traits. So the symmetry exhibited in Cnidarians is radial symmetry. All Cnidarians have radial symmetry except sea anemone, which is bilateral symmetry. Here the answer is radial. Second one, sea anemone belongs to phylum. Sea anemone belongs to which phylum? Coelenterata. Protozoa, porifera, they are pore sponges. Echinodermata means starfish. And then the answer is Coelenterata. The excretory cells that are found in platyhelminthes are, the third question. Excretory cells that are found in platyhelminthes are flame cells. Flame cells helps in excretion and osmoregulation in platyhelminthes. Fourth question. In which of the following organisms self-fertilization is seen? Self-fertilization means it occurs in the hermaphroditic animal. That means both the sexes are present in the same animal. Here the answer is liver fluke. It is also called as Fasciola hepatica. Fifth question. Nephridia of earthworm are performing the same function as flame cells of a planaria. Now, what is the role of nephridia in earthworm? Earthworm, the nephridia helps in excretion and osmoregulation. Likewise, flame cells also helps in excretion and osmoregulation in platyhelminthes. Planarian belongs to platyhelminthes. And the sixth question is, which of the following animal has a true coelom? True coelom, eucoelomate. Answer is Perithema, that is earthworm, option B. Seventh one, metameric segmentation is the main feature of. Metameric segmentation is the main feature of which phylum? Phylum Annelida. So in phylum Annelida, the animal is divided into different segments. Each segments have the same parts. So it is called as metameric segmentation. Eighth one, in perithema, locomotion occurs with help of. Here perithema is nothing but earthworm. Sometimes the zoological name of the animals will be asked. So in perithema, locomotion occurs with the help of circular, longitudinal and setae. Circular, longitudinal muscles and setae. Parapodia means it is the locomotive organ of, you can see in that video, you can see parapodia is the locomotive organ of Nereis. Okay. Next, ninth one. Which of the following have the highest number of species in nature? So which is the largest phylum? Phylum Arthropods. So in phylum Arthropods, insect is the largest species. So it is the highest number of species in nature. 10th one. Which of the following is a crustacean? Crustacean means it belongs to arthropods. The answer is prawn. Crustaceans now, and the crab, prawn, lobsters. So these are the examples of crustaceans. 11th one. The respiratory pigment in cockroach is. The options are hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is blood. The oxyhemoglobin, it also relates to blood. Hemocyanin, hemoerythrin. Hemocyanin, it's not present, and hemoerythrin is also not present. So the answer is none of the above. Exoskeleton. 12th one. Exoskeleton of which phylum consists of chitinous cuticle? Exoskeleton means outer covering. The outer covering of the which animals have chitinous cuticle? Arthropods. For example, you can see cockroach, millipedes. Markota cockroach na pathana mela hard covering irko. So that covering is called as chitinous cuticle. And 13th one. Lateral line sense organs occur in. You can easily answer this. Fish. Because in fishes, the lateral line sense organs is present. 14th one. The limbless amphibian is. Amphibians means which live both in land and water. Hyla, Rana. Rana is nothing but frog, salamander. These are all amphibians. The limbless amphibian is Ichthyophis. It don't have any limbs. 15th one. Four-chambered heart is present in. lizard, snake, scorpion. These are all, crocodile is also a reptile, but crocodile has four-chambered heart. Other reptiles have three-chambered heart. The four-chambered heart is present in crocodile. 16th one. Which of the following is not correctly paired? It's not correctly paired. You have to see the question correctly. Not correctly paired. Humans, they are ureotelic. That means ureotelic, aminotelic, uricotelic. These are the excretory products of different organisms. So humans excrete urea, so they are called as ureotelic. Birds excrete uric acid, so they are called as uricotelic. Lizards is also uricotelic. Whale is aminotelic. Fishes are aminotelic, but whale is not a fish, it is a mammal. So a whale excretes urea, it is ureotelic. The correct answer is ureotelic. Here whale aminotelic, it is not correctly matched. And 17th one, which of the following is an egg laying mammal? Egg laying means oviparous. So which is a oviparous mammal? Ornithorhynchus. Ornithorhynchus is a oviparous mammal. Pneumatic bones are seen in. Pneumatic bones means the bones are filled with a air cavity, the lighter bones. So these are seen in aves, that is nothing but birds. 19th one, match the following columns and select the correct option. There are two columns given, column 1 and 2. You have to match 1 and 2. Options are given at below. So pila is called as apple snail. First option itself you can easily understand. Pila is the apple snail. You see the options. So P3. So the option is B. Pila is called as apple snail, and dentalium is the tusk shell, and Catopleura is the chiton. Octopus is the devilfish. So the option is B. And 20th question. In which of the following phyla the adult shows radial symmetry but the larva shows bilateral symmetry? The adult shows radial symmetry and larva shows bilateral symmetrical. This is seen in which phylum? You can easily answer this. Phylum Echinodermata. So Echinodermata, the best example of Echinodermata is starfish. 21st question and the last question. Which of the following is correctly matched? The answer is option A, Physalia, Portuguese man of war. At the end of each phylum, you can able to see several examples in that the zoological as well as the normal name of the animals is given. So please go through that. So that's all, we finished this. Dear students, if you have any doubt, please feel free to ask me. You can ask me personally also. Study for your monthly test. Prepare well. Don't waste your time. Thank you.